Now topic is minimization of DFA. DFA contain the redundant states, that is states whose function can be handled by another states. So minimization of the DFA, right? In this we have multiple more states, so we can reduce the number of states. Minimization of DFA is a process of constructing equivalent DFA with minimum number of states, right? Suppose in the example we have the 10 state, we try to reduce number of state 9 or 8 or 7, so it is reduction of the DFA or the minimization of the DFA. Now algorithm or steps for the minimization of DFA. The first step is to partition the state into the into the blocks such that all state in the block are the zero equivalent, in which we can partitions the number of states, right? The partition is defined by 0 equivalent, next step 1 equivalent, next step 2 equivalent, next step 3 equivalents. We can solve by using the 0 1 2 1 3 equivalent. Here we consider only 0 equivalent. In 0 equivalent we partition the states by first condition, final states into the one block and non-final state into the another block. Now we consider one example. By using example we understand the minimization of the DFA. This is the example, right? Here we define the DFA. From DFA we prepare the transition table. In transition table we consider number of states, right? Input symbols are 0 1 summation q, number of state q0, then q1, q2, q3, q4, q of 5, q of 6, and next q of 7, right? Again q0 0 go to the q1 state, next q0 1 goes to the q5 state, q1 0 go to the q6 state, right? q0 1 go to the q2 state. Write properly. From this diagram we prepare the transition table. The transition table, next state q3, right? q2 1 go to the self state, q2, right, self state. q3 0 go to the q2 state, q3 1 minute, q3 1, there's some mistake, q3 1 go to the q6 state, 1 minute. Next state is q4 0 go to the q7 state, q4 1 go to the q5 state, q5 0 go to the q2 state, then q5 1 go to the q6 state. Next q6 0 go to the self state, q6 1 go to the q4 state, q7 0 go to the q6 state, and q7 1 go to the q2 state. Here we define q0 is initial state and q2 is your final state. Okay, from this we can find out the 0 equivalence. Okay, in 0 equivalence and state we divide into the two parts, right? First, block 1 is equals to set of non-final states. Okay, again is equals to non-final states are q0, q1, next q3, q4, q5, q of 6, q of 7, right? Next block 2 is equals to set of final states. Here only one final state, that is the Q2. Okay. Zero partition, here define zero equivalence partition of Q. So P0 is equals to, here we define two blocks, Q0, Q1, Q3, Q4, Q5, Q of 6, Q of 7. It is one partition. Second partition is the Q2 partition. Now we check for this partition, this number of states are greater than 1, right? Q2 is not participated, this block is participated, so we can find out one equivalence for the symbol 0 and for the symbol 1. Now checking for this block for equivalence 1, input symbol 0, we consider the input symbol 0, in which delta of Q0 of 0 is equals to next Q1 of 0 is equals to next Q3 of 0 is equals to next Q4 of 0, next Q5 of 0, again delta Q6 of 0 is equals to again delta Q7 of 0. Write down. From the table we find out Q0 of 0 is Q1. It is in block 1. Next Q1 of 0 in next block Q6. It is also in block 1. Next Q3 of 0 is Q2. Q2 is the another block, so here we write down block 2. Next Q4 of 0 is your Q7 in the first block, so here we define the block 1. Next Q5 of 0 is Q2 is the another block, so here we write down the block 2. Next Q6 of 0 is Q of 6, it is your block 1. Next Q7 of 0 is Q of 6, it is also in block 1. Now there are two states, right? Which state? Q5 and Q of 3 are in block 2, another in the block 1. So here we write down on input 0 block 1 successor, right? Q1 in the block Q0, Q1, these are the block 1 successor, these nodes, right? Successor is Q0, right? Next Q of 1, right? Next Q4, right? Next Q of 6 and Q of 7. जहाँ पे भी आप लोगों को ब्लॉक 1 है उसका सक्सेसर यहाँ से हम लोग फाइंड आउट करेंगे, राइट? अगेन ऑन इनपुट 0 ब्लॉक 2 सक्सेसर, block 2 successor is Q3 and block 2 successor is Q of 5. Now we calculate for the block 1, right? Delta block 1 Q0 of 1 delta Q1 of 1, next Q3 of 1, next Q4 of 1, next Q5 of 1, next Q6 of 1, next delta Q7 of 1. Now from transition table we check Q0 of 1 is equals to Q5, Q1 of 1 Q2, next Q3 of 1 Q6, next Q4 of 1 Q of 5, Q5 of 1 Q of 6, Q6 of 1 is Q of 4.